go. All together. Get this thing strung up here. A little low on the brace height, but everything seems to be holding together real well. Narrowed down both limbs a little bit here. And then did some shaping right through the grip area. And this is where, this kind of build starts to get fun. And when you can start seeing the whole bow come into shape. Now, since we have just done some work on the limbs, it would not be prudent to take gap measurements just yet. We need to go work it out on the tillering tree to get a good read on what's going on. So I'll just run this out to 24 because 24 inches is where we were before. We were pulling just over 55 pounds. And we took not a significant amount of material off of these limbs, but a fair amount. So let's see where we land at 24 now. Yeah, still at 54 pounds. So, in my efforts to reduce weight and width, I managed to have 1 pound of influence over the draw weight on this guy. On out to 26, 59. Remember, I want to get to right around 60 pounds at 28 inches. So. Last trip out to the tillering tree after sanding, and we are running right about 56 pounds at 26 inches. So we're right there where we need to be. I have deepened the grooves on the string nocks here, kind of marked in pencil how much I want to thin them down. I'm in alignment as it stands. So now we're just going to start thinning down these tips and checking on alignment so that we can, do the pre-peek and tweak. Thank goodness, again, I wasn't hanging on to it when this string decided to give up the ghost. I had just gotten it strung, getting the camera ready to go, and bam, thing just blew. Just sprung straight again. And took me a little while to find the string here in the garage, but that is what it looked like when I found it. We were pulling 61 pounds at 27 inches when I put this on the tillering tree. After getting everything narrowed down a little bit more, getting those tips narrowed and etc. So, guys, we're right there. We're pretty much done. What my plan at this point was to string it up and go put some arrows through it. Thank God it blew before I loaded it with an arrow. So we'll get another string going here and, try again. This bow has some zing to it. Been shooting it, and yeah, it'll move some arrows. It is right now pulled to 28 inches. It is 61 pounds. So I'm not going to do any more work as far as reducing weight, because I think we're like right in the neighborhood of where it needs to be. Now, it has got some reverb to it when it shoots, and I think it's because I'm shooting some relatively light arrows through it. I'm having to shoot lighter arrows because I have not yet put a shelf in here, and these arrows are having to paradox around a pretty wide neck here. So once we get the shelf cut in and we're getting a little closer to center shot, we can start using some heavier arrows, in addition to continuing to narrow out these tips, although they're starting to get pretty narrow, as you can see against my pinky. Especially off the string, 1 1/4 inches setback. And comes apart without too much issue. So there's our joint. Right, peeled back the tape from the top limb here, so you can kind of see the finishes and how they're going to look. Got tip overlay pieces here. Again, hackberry, zebra wood, and then I got some water buffalo horn here as my top piece. Mixing up my epoxy now. And I'm using a 5-minute variety, so we gotta act fast. A little bit messy here. All right. Really at the fun part of things now, guys. Been doing some refinement here at the tips. We're trying to reduce some mass. They're a little on the large side still, so we got some shaping yet to do out here at the tips. Got some work going on out or here at the grip as well. Made a string. This guy's a D97 string, so very low stretch, fast string. Made 18 strands on this guy, so plenty strong enough for the bow itself. The functionality of this thing actually works pretty well. I got some beeswax in there to kind of give it a nice firm hold when it all goes together, but here's where we're at so far. Got a little bit of finish work yet to do with the overlays at the grip, and then cut in a window. was shooting for the moon, but I'll take it. Well, we have established that this bow can shoot. It shoots really pretty well. I've been breaking it in at each stage of thinning out the tips, and every time I bring it back here and do a little more work on the tips, the sweeter it gets as it's shooting. Time to put in an arrow rest now. So we are going to put in a sight window with an arrow rest on this bow, which should improve the accuracy on it even more. And this bow is already shooting really fast and accurate. All right, we're going to cut out our arrow rest here. And I have already like ground the back side of my fiberglass here, more like the belly side of the fiberglass, a little further toward center. Same with the back side here, to give myself, you know, a little bit of space where I can work on just the wood. So I'm going to cut through the wood until I get to the fiberglass, and then I'm going to turn over to a more of a hacksaw to handle the fiberglass half of this cut, and probably just do, you know, just enough to get that window in, and go from there. Because cutting fiberglass, of course, is a pain in the rear. And fiberglass cutting blades don't get through wood very quickly, so it's very time consuming to switch over to a metal cutting blade at this point. So, but we will do it here in just a second. And I'm concentrating that particular cut on just the fiberglass. I can get through as far as I want to get through on just that, and then take out the fiberglass, and then come back with wood cutting blades again. I handle it from there. So there's going to be a bit of a process. And of course, once I get through this piece, we'll then put our angles on the remaining portions of the arrow rest here so that we can build it out. Now, I've cut it about 1/4 of an inch above the handle wrap, which is actually where I've been shooting across. So that's going to put the arrow about 1/4 inch higher. But we're going to do a lot of refinement work in here that's going to bring it very close to where the wrap is. This is a, it's a cut above where we want to be, which gives us a lot of opportunity to work down to where we need it to go. Better view of where that cut has gone in. About 1/4 inch above the fiberglass. All right, so here's how I'm going to approach this. Going to, on the sander, run back the fiberglass layer by sanding it back, and same on the back side here, so that I can just work the wood down to my arrow rest. Really like how rough this stuff looks at the beginning stages, knowing how it's going to turn out in the end, because it's always such a scary look, you know, yet I know that it's going to turn out really freaking nice. And if you'll recall, going back to the, I don't remember if it's the first or second video in the build, when I talked about having the laminations set up the way I did in the riser, knowing that it was going to be covered by a fiberglass wrap, and that I would just tell you later what we're dealing with. This is it. This is what we were setting up. It's the sight window, and how the laminations are actually going to give way down to the arrow rest. It's going to look real attractive right there. So you can see the Ipe, the hackberry, and the zebra wood all in the sight window of the bow. So I'm going to continue to refine this the sight window down, the arrow rest. If you want some good information about how to go about making your sight window, I'm going to put a video right here in the description, or a card in the video itself, however you want to look at that, so that you can access it and see why I do not cut my arrow shells to center of bow, and truthfully why it's not necessary. But in the meantime, I'm just going to keep working this out, and you can already see it taking shape here. That's going to look really cool. All right, got the initial finishing touches on this arrow rest, and it's looking pretty fine. I am really digging that finish right there. And you can see the laminations on that riser in play. So we are shooting. We now have our arrow rest in. We basically have this bow completely roughed out at this point. So, I mean, from this point forward, it's all finishing touches, guys. Shooting in, a little bit more peeking and tweaking, but yeah, we are darn near at the finishing line, guys, and we are going to get there next week. So thank you for hanging out with me for this week, and guys, we're gonna have this guy done, polished, beautiful next week.